for many decades, Reverend has had such a role in what we see in diversity in sports. Many of you know he was very close to Jackie Robinson. As a matter of fact, he eulogized Jackie and is still very close to Jackie's family. He was a part of the development of the Rooney Rule. He worked with Muhammad Ali and Bill Russell and others to allow athletes to see themselves as what we call now, in the spirit of LeBron James and others, more than an athlete, and taking that role very seriously. However, we have also been fighting for diversity, more opportunities for minorities and women, not just on the field, but off the field, and being able to manage and be in media and have decision-making positions. And so it's been just a joy for me to watch this amazing woman, Monica McNutt of ESPN. She has just been, as they say, killing it. She's been all over the map, doing some wonderful work, commentary, shows with ESPN, and her background speaks for itself as a former athlete, as well as her training, her education in journalism. But she just brings the whole package to the table. So it's a joy to have you, Monica. Welcome to Rainbow Push. Welcome to the family.
Pastor Bryant, it is a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for that introduction. I swear I'm going to miss my star ascending because I'm getting the best introductions along the way. But I really appreciate you also pointing out my second degree. I'm not just a former athlete. I have a whole degree in this thing.
Of course. And that's what I want to start with a little bit, because I think it's unique to the story of how athletes manage themselves, especially female athletes, because, and I appreciate this, all the years I've worked with women athletes, speak a little bit just to, the uniqueness of women in sports having a different consciousness sometimes, because, whereas the men did a great job, big time kudos to the brothers and what they did in the bubble. But I think the women have always done a little bit more. Talk a little bit about that.
There's no think, Pastor Brian. WNBA in particular has always been at the forefront of the intersection of social justice issues and sports. And, I've had the opportunity to chat with a few WNBA players. Some are my peers in terms on the collegiate level. They obviously had more game than me. They kept going. But I think that is a league that uniquely has been faced with all these conversations before the rest of the world caught up.
That's right.
Whether you talk about gender identities or race, I mean, they are ahead of the curve. They're just ahead of the curve. And so they are uniquely qualified to stand unified and lead because they've already dealt with it internally. And quite honestly, they understand fully what it is to fight for this idea of equality. Whether it's coverage or support, money, whatever the case might be, they've done it. They are living this. There is no faking about it. As Shanae Gumake says, they're not new to this. They are true to this. And that is 100% accurate. I'm very fortunate to host a clubhouse chat on Sundays with Elena Beard. And she felt very strongly that we create a space to discuss the transitions, as she is now transitioned to the other side and is no longer playing the WNBA. And this past week, Elena, Crystal Langhorne, who just recently retired and now works in the front office of the Seattle Storm, and Marissa Coleman, who is quietly retiring. I hope I'm not breaking any news on her behalf. We were all in this conversation together. But we also were fortunate to be joined by some gentlemen who had NFL experience, and they also talked about their transition. And someone brought up the point about how important it is to know who to trust and for what within your circle. Because as athletes, there's always people grasping at you and trying to get attached to you. And so I just presented the question to the group and wanted to popcorn around and see who has had the experience of having to reevaluate who they keep in their inner circle. Funny enough, most of the guys said they had to do it, but the women did not say that there was a
wow, interesting. Yeah.
And they all pointed out, Marissa and Crystal in particular pointed out, because the opportunities do not come for them the way that they do for their male counterparts. They are forced to work with what they have, and they are fortunate enough to have true friendships and very smart people in their circle. But they talked about how that league is so unique in that they are truly each one teach one. And they are trying to move this thing forward, not just for themselves, but for generations that come behind them. The numbers are not as astronomical, and they were very candid about that. So similar to me in college, you're forced to think about what's next before on the date, before that date actually arrives. And so I think beyond how incredible these women are as athletes, they're also very smart. They are feeling women. They are connected to their communities, and they are powerful. And I think that's what we're seeing. And so I'm getting a little bit on a tangent, and I kind of lost the original question, to be honest with you, Pastor Bryant. But
you hit it.
Think about how the WNBA and women in sport have been able to lead. To me, in many ways, it mirrors society, right? Our history books will tell us about however many presidents we had until we got Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, excuse me, that now shakes up what we have seen in terms of the standard. But all through history, particularly in history in our communities, it's Black women. Like Beyonce said, you know, the men lead, but the women keep the tempo. Like, that's real. And so I think that's why the WNBA is so uniquely qualified to be at the forefront of these movements.
Well, that really, it just so rich to me to hear you say that, and to appreciate Black women the way I do. For you to say what you said is very valuable. And because of that, I want to just ask you to give one last thought, comment, if you will, because I think it's important that we all lift as we climb, and you have talked about people in your life that have influenced you, opened doors for you. What do you say to that person coming behind you, that young person, that young adult, that millennial person that's not where you are yet, that teenager, you know, who may be, you know, just trying to figure it out and wants to still have a lane in the sports world, maybe as an athlete, maybe in media, maybe as an owner, maybe as a manager? What do you say to that young person, especially to a young woman, about diversity and about their opportunities?
My mom says it. She's like, you know, she sort of says it flippantly because she don't trust doctors per se. She's like, they're practicing. Doctors and lawyers, they're practicing. But we have now extended that to, we are all practicing. I'm a practicing journalist. I'm a practicing sister, daughter, friend, industry person, media person. And so in my practice, I have made it practice, one, to lead with gratitude, Pastor Bryant. I think that applies for me both personally and professionally, because the minute I'm ready to complain about being worn out in the month of March because they're running me ragged and I got 5,000 games to keep up with, this is what I prayed for. This is what I've worked for. And so if I can reframe to lead with gratitude, then I find that energy to get the work done. So I think personally and professionally, lead with gratitude. Do your math in a way that you are counting your blessings and not looking at your subtractions, right? And then second, industry specific, you got to give it time, and be proud of the person that you take with you. Take yourself with you wherever you go. I can remember getting into this space with so much energy. Oh, I played ball in DC. I know this area. Like, I went to Georgetown. They about to give me this top 10 market sports anchor job with no experience. Girl, who are you kidding? What is wrong with you? So you have to give it time. And giving it time, I don't mean mock time. I mean, continue to be diligent. I mean, to work on your craft. I mean, to expand your network. Try different things. Continue to hone who you are and how you want to be represented in this space. Because time, baby, you just can't fake that seasoning. And then take yourself with you wherever you go. Early in my career, there was a little bit of a conversation about my hair. And I remember saying to this person who I loved and is a good friend, I'm not going back to my hair. Like, here I am. What? They're going to have to get with it, right?
That's it. Yeah.
I cannot say, Pastor Bryant, with concrete evidence, whether my hair has added time to my journey or not. I can say opportunities that I went after that did not go to a woman that looked like me. But either way, when I take myself with me wherever I go, that includes at the end of my day when I look in the mirror and lay my head down on my pillow and I am happy and whole in how I've been able to show up as myself.
Love it.
So lead with gratitude. Give it time, but don't waste time. Give it time. Make the most out of your time, and take yourself with you wherever you go, because the world needs you.
Monica McNutt, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed listening to her as much as I have enjoyed talking with her. And I'm just so excited to see everything that you're doing. We're going to make sure that we promote everything that you're connected to. We'll post out all your social media stuff, make sure people can follow you, and then they can see you on screen. They can listen to you, and they can be a part of the Monica McNutt world as you continue to rise. Continue to do what you're saying right there on that shirt. His grace, my grind. Real good, Monica. Thanks so much. God bless.
Thanks, Pastor Bryant.